Welcome to another episode of Talk with Olena podcast, the podcast where I break down all things business when it comes to RCIC businesses and immigration lawyer businesses. So today in this episode, I really want to talk about one common problem that a lot of RCICs are coming inside my programs, my business container, and what is that like big challenge that a lot of RCICs are coming with? And that challenge has nothing to do with marketing, with sales, but it's actually on the flip side is the challenge of having too much, too many clients, too many cases to manage, too much communication from your clients, from your staff, being pulled apart every single day. Feeling like you need to do 25,000 things at a time, feeling anxiety that you might mess up immigration cases because you are too busy, feeling that, everyone wants a little piece of you every single day. Your clients' messages, your staff messages, your emails, documents that you need to review, all the things that come up every single day in your email boxes, in your on your phone, all those notifications, all of that is super overwhelming. When RCICs are contacting me, like generally, I have kind of like two groups of RCICs that generally feel the need to like work with me. The first group is RCICs who truly want to get the demand up, right? The demand, the marketing, the sales, all of that kind of stuff. So that's the first group. And the second group is RCICs who already have their demand up. They already have clientele. They already have cases. They already have things going. But now it's just becoming borderline unsustainable. And they tried, maybe you tried delegating, you tried hiring different people, that you tried, certain things, you tried maybe a different CRM, but it still feels like it's not clicking. You still feel very much overwhelmed. So today is this episode is for that group of people. If you are an RCIC who is feeling that things are busy, but not in a good way busy, that is busy, but you're tired, then in this episode, I want to break down four main kind of processes that I usually go through with RCICs to figure out what is the problem and how we can fix that. All right. So the first big pillar, and I want you to maybe take this episode as like kind of almost like a hands-on workshop on how you can truly really fix and like diagnose where that business problem is, and go with me through these four steps. Okay. So the first step, what I usually suggest doing is number one is like actually diagnosing and auditing where that problem of being busy actually is, right? Because we tend as humans to generalize things. Is like, oh, I'm busy, it's too many cases, it's too much work, it's too much. But like, what does that actually mean? Like, does that mean that you have like too many physically submissions to make this week? And take this week as an example, right? Is it too many submissions, like physically numbers of cases for you to review and to push out of the door and submit to IRCC? Or does that mean is that like when you wake up in the morning, you have too many emails and too many, or maybe too many messages, or both, right? Or maybe that means that your staff, your legal assistant, or maybe you're employing another RCIC, or whomever your staff is, maybe they ask you too many questions. So it does feel like it's just like too much because they're asking you too many questions and it's like too much interaction of with your staff. Or maybe that's something different. Maybe you feel like your marketing is feeling heavy and you constantly need to run that race of like getting consultations in the door because maybe you're scared that cases will disappear. And maybe you're scared that you're, like now you're busy, you have a lot of cases, but deep down, you always have fear that people or cases or money will at some point dry up. Like that business will essentially dry up. Maybe that is like what causing your like sprint of constantly getting business, 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 like marketing, marketing, and maybe that's what's feeling busy. So those are like different, all different aspects, right? And maybe for you that can be something completely different, right? Maybe actually your personal life right now is very hectic and very busy, and it's just that is kind of showing up in your business. So it all feels busy. But the root maybe sometimes is personal life. Maybe you're going through a move right now. Maybe your children are going through something. Maybe it's just a busy Christmas season, and like you feel like it's so much on your plate that you ultimately kind of like equate it to business being like busy, but in fact is like actually not business. So sometimes it really happens the way that like our personal life tends to show up in business. So we start like looking for problems in business, but then actually the root is in a completely different area of our life. So that is something definitely to think about and to audit. And I would encourage you just to take a pen and a sheet of paper, and that's my favorite tools, and start writing down specifically today and yesterday and this week. Don't think about general things, but think what has been overwhelming specifically. Maybe what the fact that when you open WhatsApp, there are 10 unread chats that I have right now. Maybe that's when, you know, your anxiety when you wake up in the morning and like opening that email box. Or specifically what, or maybe it's just, you know, some pressure from your spouse, maybe, right? Specifically, start writing down the list of things that felt overwhelming, specifically today. And I really encourage you, if you can, even pause this podcast, and start doing it. Okay, and start writing down things. Maybe it's posting. Maybe it's like whatever it is, right? So when you're diagnosed and you start getting that clarity, okay, like where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? Like where's the root of the problem? Now, if it is, of course, business related, then you usually start getting those things through the framework of three kind of, think about it as like almost like a funnel, right? So the first thing that you want to do with those tasks, those things that feel overwhelming, that feel like it's too much, you want to eliminate, see if you can eliminate any of those. Then the second thing, you're going to see, okay, if I cannot eliminate any of those, see if you can automate. And there's the third thing that you're going to do, challenge your brain and see if you, okay, I cannot eliminate that, I cannot automate that, see if you can delegate that. Okay. So a lot of times on the very first level, eliminate, that's where people have the most resistance, because we are wired to think that everything that's happening in our business and our day-to-day life is extremely important, and we can absolutely cannot eliminate that. Absolutely, it just cannot be eliminated. And I get the most resistance usually about that. But let's break it down in a real example. Let me think of an example. So the example would be, well, let's dive into like the most common issue, and the most common issue is the amount of communication that we're getting on a daily basis from clients, from our staff, from every area of our life, right? So if you feel like the amount of communication, so physically like emails, calls, messages from your staff or your clients, if you feel like that is the root, like what has been overwhelming, then the question number one for you to ask yourself, how this can be eliminated. So of course, the gremlin will on your shoulder, like think about it as like one gremlin here and like one, you know, angel here. Is gremlin is going to tell you that like, no, your clients need you. Obviously, like clients pay you money. How can you eliminate communication with them, right? Well, in fact, this can be challenged because in our firm, we very actually rarely communicate with our clients as RCICs. And I know it sounds weird, but trust me, every single of our clients are super happy about customer service. I know it sounds weird that we don't talk to our clients, but actually how we do things is that our clients have the only channel of communication is the email. So they don't have our phone numbers, they don't have our WhatsApp, they don't have actually access to us. And they are being aware of that. And when we're doing onboarding, we're actually explaining them how things work and why they work this way. Transparently and kindly, we explain it to them. So they basically talk to, like, send us, like, our means of communication is email. They send us email, and the email is our legal assistant is actually responsible for that email. So legal assistant serves as a buffer between RCIC and a client. So legal assistants, like, basically filters all the communication, all the questions, all the things that client asks, and actually delivers to us only what matters, right? Like what actually is important, because not every message from your client, not every communication from your client or question is something that is truly meaningful and important, right? So legal assistant delivers that to us, and we talk to our staff, not to our clients, how we would like to handle certain questions, certain situations, or certain documents, of course. And then we instruct our legal assistant. So legal assistant actually acts as our, like, spokesperson, right? Or how's it, spokesman? So in that structure, we're not being drained by all of these pieces of communication. Now, if the client wants to have a live call, absolutely, we do that. Like, customer service is one of the most valuable and one of the most important pillars in our business, for our specific business. So of course, client can schedule a call with us, but that call is being specifically scheduled by a legal assistant with accordance to our schedule, our Google Calendar, and I hope you use Google or Apple Calendar. And in that way, basically, we did eliminate communication with clients, like, or really, I would say, streamlined it to the point that we talk to clients, I want to say maybe like one call per week or two calls per week. That's what we have on average scheduled with our clients, and emails, messages, that's just non-existent for us directly with clients, right? So this is a good example how it actually can be eliminated, even something that you think cannot be, right? So that's just an example. Now, if you feel like it cannot be eliminated, then I encourage you to think how it can be automated. So nowadays we have 1 billion tools that can help you do that. And then if it cannot be automated, then you think how that can be delegated, right? So certain things, they cannot be eliminated, automated, and they should be delegated. But you have to, like, kind of funnel those three things, like those things that overwhelm you, through that funnel. So once you did that, and once you put some thoughts and some brainstorming into all of that, then you probably would have like some good clarity already on what's happening. All right. So the second biggest kind of step that I want you to take after that initial audit of what exactly is happening, what is overwhelming you, can you eliminate it, automate it, delegate it? After that triaging, if you will, the second piece I want you to think about is, I want you to ask a question. What is the structure of your operations or your business? And I think that is a very important question, and that's probably like one of the important pieces in this podcast that I wanted to kind of bring up to your attention, because most of the times when I see things, when I see structures, when I see businesses inside, most of the times what I see in those RCIC businesses is that they're blown out of proportion in terms of staff. We think that we need more people than we actually need. And the reality is that when you are blowing up your business out of proportion in terms of staff and you're not structuring things properly, and I'll give you some examples in a second, then what the repercussions of that is that, number one, obviously your expenses are very high, because labor is your highest expense on your profit and loss statement, right? Like payroll, labor, contractors, however you compensate to your employees, that is the highest line on your profit and loss, right? So obviously you're not going to be able to be as profitable and withdraw as much personal income as you would want to, probably, if you're blowing out up your operations and your staff out of proportions. So that's one thing. And then another thing is what people oftentimes don't think about is that the more people you employ, the more people you need to manage, and the more people you need to talk to on daily basis. So actually, the less people you employ, the easier your life is, because that's less things to worry about, less things to manage, less messages to respond, less Slack conversations or whatever tool you're using for team communication to handle, right? So my take on it, and again, there are 1 billion ways to structure your operations, and I'm sure there are 1 billion ways that you could do it efficiently and in a quote unquote correct way. But my take on it, and through my experience, what I find very good idea is that you structure operations this way, is that you are, as an RCIC, or let's put it this way, RCIC that is being a representative on the file, like on cases, that is actually being a rep on cases. That is a key person, whether it's you are, or maybe you want to hire somebody to be that person. Most of the cases, you probably are an RCIC who's acting on a use of representative form, right? That is representing the clients. So that's a key person. With that key person, what you want to have is another 2 key people. One person, it would be your front and right hand. And another person would be your back end right hand. Both of those people have to be, I have to say, superstars. They have to be very high performing employees that are really well compensated, hopefully, and they have to be truly superstars, because that's the only way that these things going to work, right? We cannot afford to hire mediocre employees or subcontractors. We just can't afford it. We're small businesses. That's the truth. We can't afford hire mediocre employees. So you have to find your right people, and trust me, they're there. So let's dive closely into those 2 people. So your front end person and your back end person. So your front end person, that is a person who is your right hand to handle as much as possible and take off your hands as much as possible everything related to acquiring those clients. So getting the clients from the point of them just discovering, oh, who is Olena, RCIC, just the point of discovery, to the point of signing a retainer agreement. So with all of that journey, there are a lot of processes. There is a marketing process, there is a sales process, there is a consultation process, retainer agreement signing process, right? So we have all of that, and you have to have that key one person who is really, really assisting you with that. So sometimes I refer to that person as a virtual assistant, virtual / marketing / admin assistant, or marketing / admin manager. You can call that person whatever you call them. You can call that person as your client acquisition manager, right? Whatever the title is, doesn't matter. But the key responsibilities that person performs is that they are assisting you and helping you with execution of your marketing. That doesn't mean what that means. I just want to be very clear. That means that you, as an owner of the company, you're very clear on how to attract your clients, how to attract right clients, who are your right clients, and how to actually sell to them and get them or offer them to book a consultation, and how that actually happens, right? You cannot hire somebody to do your sales or to increase your sales if you are not clear on how to do it yourself. So just want to be clear on that. If you want to chat about that, more than welcome to message me on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever, or maybe my email. Please do message me. But so that's one thing, is that the person should be helping you with execution of your marketing. Not necessarily, you should not rely on them to just make your business work and make your sales flow. So they would help you with execution of your marketing. They will handle customer service, customer experience with all of the customers that have not signed a retainer agreement, that you're not representing. Our point of separation front end to back end is point signing of retainer agreement. Everything that's happening before signing retainer agreement, that's front end. Everything that happens after signing retainer agreement, that's back end. Okay, I should have mentioned that in the beginning. So, this person would handle execution of marketing, like posting, like whatever needs to be done for marketing to get people to know you, discover you every single day. This person would handle, your booking page, making sure that your booking page makes sense, making sure that, people are clear which appointments to book, responding to customer messages, all that kind of stuff. Would handle booking process, or scheduling appointments, promotions, anything like that. Would handle also post consultation process, so sending clients quotes, being in touch with clients, advising clients of any things that come up, and just handling all of that communication pre-signing retainer agreement, and then handling actually sending a retainer agreement out and facilitating all that. So basically, being your right hand with every single activity that takes place before the point client signs a retainer agreement. Now, so that's your key right hand person. Now, the key right hand person at a back office, so that person handles everything that happens after signing a retainer agreement. And usually we call that position either case processing manager or legal assistant. I oftentimes refer to them as a legal assistant. So that is a person that is going to help you to take this client, this case, from the point of signing a retainer agreement, onboarding this client, issuing document checklist, compiling their documents, filling out their forms correctly, of course, responding to all the questions, managing all the client communication, all of that comes with handling client's case, right until the decision on the case. And then, of course, offboarding that client as well, right? So legal assistant, that person, or case processing manager, that person may have RCIC license. Maybe they don't have RCIC license. That's different discussion, and that's your hiring kind of more of a discussion, which I should probably make that episode as well on hiring. But that person that is helping you with the case, so legal assistant, this is a key thing, that person should have a level of knowledge that is very much close to your level of knowledge. That person, in my opinion and my view of things, should not be hired for $18 per hour with no experience and be expected to efficiently handle the client's case for permanent residency, from the point of signing a retainer agreement to the point of submission and getting a decision on the case. Of course, you are an RCIC, you're the consultant, you're the rep, you're ultimately the leader, and you're ultimately the lead on the case, but you should have a right-hand person who is a superstar, who is so good at handling those cases that you can confidently rely on them. So in this setup that I explained to you now, the structure, you have two people who are your right-hand people. One person who handles inflow of business into your immigration firm, and then one person who handles processing and outflow is the word, I wonder, of your business, right? Because clients supposed to get into your business and get out of your business, and hopefully that process is not too long for your clients or for you, because we don't want the longer clients are being stuck in that process, the less profitable your firm actually is. So you want actually a pretty quick client turnaround. The fact that from the point of consultation and discovery of you and whether you can help them to the point of decision on the case, hopefully is as little time as possible. That's what ideally we want to achieve. Now, also with this lean and simple and very straightforward, for lack of a better word, structure, what you're also achieving is pretty low expenses, like, well, as low as possible, right? Because you're not having all these people handling your operations, all of these people, assisting you. And you are also achieving very good client experience as well, because the reality, guys, is that very often what I see is that RCICs employ 5, 7, 10, I'll be honest, mediocre employees, mediocre talent. And that way, it's just not really providing a good client experience, but also it's not providing you with a balanced life. So with this structure, you actually can go on vacations. That's number one, because you have a very, very superstar backend legal assistant or case processing manager, however you want to call them, that is able to handle things with a leadership. And you have very skilled front end person that is also able to handle things with leadership, right? And this is realistically, what it ideally should look like. And if your operations don't look like that, that is absolutely okay. But the question I want to ask yourself is that, does that work for you? And or does that create a lot of work for you, a lot of tasks for you, a lot of, like, can you truly rely and truly delegate um, cases and projects and things, right? Or do you feel like you constantly need to be that ultimate person that tells your staff like what to do and where to go? So this is very important, because if your structure works for you, then disregard the last 15 minutes of the podcast. Because if you feel like, you know what, like, I actually feel pretty balanced with this, like, I actually feel like my staff are like, they are rock stars and it does work for me, then absolutely. But if your structure right now does not brings more stuff on your plate than it should, then it's either a structural problem, or maybe it's a talent problem as well. Maybe it's a talent problem. Maybe you should reconsider things, and that's a perfect opportunity, new year, to reconsider your structure and your talent that you are employing currently. So that was the second big pillar. And then the third big pillar or step that I want you to think about. So just a reminder, the first one was about auditing, right? What is actually overwhelming you? What is actually on your plate? Why you are feeling that busy? Why, like, what exactly, like, write down bullet points. Can you eliminate those things, automate those things, or delegate those things? That's the first step. Second step is that review your structure of your business and your talent that you're employing. Does that work? Did anything that I talked about in the last 28 minutes come up for you? Maybe something stuck around with you. Like, write it down on a piece of paper and think about it. If it came up for you, that's a sign. That's a sign that something may be there as you were listening to this, right? So just sit on it, think about it. And then the third step is creating rinse and repeat processes in every aspect of your business. So front end, back end, right? And I know it's a very general phrase to say, but what I see a lot in myself, first of all, but other people as well, is that a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're very creative, and a lot of times we're just getting bored of things. And when we're getting bored of things, we start changing. We try a new marketing trick. We try a new platform. We try new software, new CRM. We try new things. When the reality is that new is not always the answer. The boring rinse and repeat processes that just work for your marketing, boring rinse and repeat processes that just work for your case processing, for your onboarding, for your, submissions, like boring templated processes that just work. That's a lot of times is the answer. A lot of times leaning into what is already working, already doing, like having an impact, leaning in further into that rinse and repeat processes is the answer that you need. A lot of times we're just like craving that dopamine from like new. Maybe if I do this new, then things will be better. Maybe if I change this software tool or whatever, it will be better. Maybe new employee, new things, new that. When the reality is that what I would suggest doing is actually auditing what currently works for your business in terms of marketing, in terms of sales, and in terms of delivery of your service. Write a list. What works? And then ask yourself a question, how to lean more into that, and you can actually create rinse and repeat process from what you produce for marketing, how you do marketing, how you create rinse and repeat process and how you train your employees, how do you create rinse and repeat process for your clients. Because guess what? Boring and boring means consistent. If you consistently already have good results in your marketing, then have that process as your rinse and repeat, and just do more of that. Do more of what works and do less of what doesn't work. And I know it's very basic advice, but actually developing the skill of auditing and analyzing your business and your data and what worked for you in 2025, and bringing that and building up and multiplying on what worked in 2026, that is the boring activity that is actually going to double your revenue, that's actually going to make you money. Not always it's a requirement to have a new employer, a new break. Sometimes it is, don't get me wrong, sometimes it is a requirement, but if your business already works, if you are already in multiple six figures, then you need to understand what exactly works and bring that as a process to your team. Okay, so those were three things. I have a fourth one, but I don't think we have much time to dive into that. But I do want you to think about the fourth thing that is an easy fix for those who are overwhelmed, is how to fix your specifically communication aspect, communication with your team and communication with your clients. So that is what I see more often than not. Something that drains the day-to-day basis is actually communication. And a lot of times is like we think that the clients are what's bothering us, but a lot of times it's actually the team. So I kind of want to put it out there that like you always need to audit your communication, and whether it's draining you, whether it's too much, whether it's always falling on your plate, from those both aspects, clients but also your staff, right? So in terms of communication, a couple of things that I just have some notes here, so I'm looking at them, but a couple of things I want you to look into is, number one, does the communication drain you from clients under retainer agreements or non-clients? Because there are different tools how you can deal with both of those, right? But where the problem is like more hot for you, if it's with non-clients, then that's all about fixing your consultation process, and that is quite honestly an easy fix. When the communication drains you with clients under current retainer agreements, it's not as easy of a fix, but still there are things you can do. And usually that means that you just need to look into your onboarding process, whether you have a standard response time and whether that response time is communicated to clients, whether you have standard medium of communication, so whether it's email or WhatsApp or whatever messengers you're using for communication with your clients under retainer agreements, and whether that communication method is actually communicated to your client during onboarding. So if during the onboarding process your client is clear on expectations on what's the response time and what's the method of communication. For us, it's only email. I no judgment, but I personally don't understand how anyone can run their business on WhatsApp communication just because it's so overwhelming. It's too much. It's way too much. Email, that's kind of my choice. And but if WhatsApp or whatever messengers, if they work for you, that's fine. If it works, right? You don't need to fix something that is not broken, all right? But expectations of clients and like communicating that expectations during your onboarding process with regards to response time and medium of communication method, then that's just something that I want you to put on your list of things to audit, like whether that aspect is good. And then another thing I wanted to bring up is probably the last one that comes to communication topic is the hardest. Very simple. You can do it right now in about 30 seconds of your time, and it will change your life. I can promise you it will literally change your life. But people don't do it because they don't believe me. Now, that thing is turning off your notifications on your phone completely, absolutely, 100%, turning everything off. And I know it's hard because you're afraid that you're going to give up that control, that you're going to not notice something or not know. I promise you, you will notice things. I promise you, you will go to your WhatsApp and you will check your messages. You will go to your email and you will check your emails, even if your phone doesn't blow up at your face every 5 seconds. So please listen to me. If you take anything from this episode, is go on your phone right now, turn off all the communications, all the notifications that blow up at your face every 5 seconds, because I just can't stand it. Like, I can't stand it. And your life, like in 1 week from now, just message me and tell me, Olena, you were right. Thank you so much. Because every time RCIC that I work with did this, they were amazed with the unbelievable impact that simple tweak, simple activity, simple thing actually made on their lives. It's like you will not recognize your life. And you know why? Is because when notifications pop up on your phone, oh, by the way, with computer is the same. Turn off those pop-ups on your computer. When you turn those things off, then you know what happens? Then you start controlling your schedule. You start controlling what you do with your life. And notifications are not controlling you anymore. Because think about it. When notification pops up on your phone, you may be in the middle of something. Maybe you're just having a walk. Maybe you're having your lunch. Maybe God knows what you're doing, playing with your child or your dog. But you look at your phone, right? And you see that notification. And especially if it's something important, which we have a lot at our jobs, right? Or something urgent, you will start getting into it. You will start responding. You will start, at least as a minimum, thinking about it. And that means that notification just completely dictated the course, how your day is going to go. That notification completely dictates of how dictates your time, how you're going to spend your time, how you're going to feel right now. And unless you're taking control of your time, unless you're taking control of your emotions, of how you intentionally planning your day, you're not going to be able to scale in 2026. You're not going to be able to feel balanced. You're not going to be able to truly have that balance and, stop being exhausted, quite frankly. So, notifications is really just more than your pop-up. It's the way that other clients, staff, people, friends, family, everyone on the list, apps, how all of those things actually dictate us what to do. So we're not in control of our schedule anymore. Our schedule is being controlled by this little machine here. And that's one simple truth. So yeah, just to recap, This was a long episode, but I meant to do it for a couple of weeks now. So finally I got to do it and I'm so happy about it. So I want you to think about these 4 steps that we discussed today. And if you are feeling like you have a lot on your plate in your life, in your business, in your professional life, in your personal life, I want you to think about these 4 kind of pillars or things that I always audit. I always check to find what can be done. Number 1 is, oops, I lost my notes. Okay. Number 1 thing is actually, auditing what exactly, getting down to the bottom, what exactly is it, like it feels like a lot, right? And then seeing like if you can eliminate, automate, delegate any of those things. All right. Number 2 is reviewing the structure of your business, of your staff, of the structure of things, how things work. All right. Number 3 is creating rinse and repeat processes and actually identifying those processes that already work, how you do things and the things that work, and creating that as a rinse and repeat system, a process, and leaning more into that. And then number 4 is auditing your communication with clients and with staff, and ultimately how you handle that communication on a daily basis. And hopefully you'll turn off those notifications on your phone and your computer so pop-ups don't happen in your life anymore. So yeah, I hope it was helpful. If you are listening to this during Black Friday week, I just want to let you know that until December 1st, inclusively, I do run a Black Friday intake for my business container program for women RCICs. And right now, I already have completely December booked, January booked. So as of the day of recording this, you still can sign up for our business container, and you can start any month starting February onwards. I have people who are signing up for June, for September, but of course, a lot of them are for February and March. So if you want to talk about that, or you just want to chat with me and just want to talk about it, or just want to tell me like what came up for you during this episode, please do direct message me. You can reach me on LinkedIn, you can reach me on Instagram, and then we'll chat. And I'm always happy to meet my fellow RCICs and see how I can help them. Thank you so much, and tune in to our next episode. And our next episode will be all about actually delegation and team. And I have a special guest for the next episode. So tune in to that one next week, and I'll see you soon, guys.